It adds. I think it kind of adds a bit of intrigue, doesn't it?
We're back on the 1 minute. We're back on the 1 minute. It's not the 10 seconds anymore. It's going to be a long one.
I know. Oh god.
Yeah, anticipate. We got to keep the crowd waiting. You know, it's like the crowds. There's like this cheer starting to build. We got to keep it going. Keep it going.
Oi, listen,
So, Jayden,
I could have copied our American friends across the pond and played some rap music, mate. So you guys have got it.
And
good.
Jayden, have you revealed the fact we're streaming live from your third date from the restaurant?
Oh, fucking hell.
I can at least I can use this time to retweet you guys' lives.
Do you know, Simon, the date was going so well until I told her what I did for a job.
I know it's always the killer.
It is a bit of a romance killer. It looks like we're live now anyway, but we can carry on this part of the conversation. She's ghosted me the last 2 days, my friend. So
okay.
Who was I having a joke with online about like actually you just got to reframe your career slightly differently. You know, maybe say you work in modern finance or
yes.
entertainment. That's what we are.
Entertainment.
I know. When you start talking about apes and dinosaurs and that you feel you are one,
yeah,
maybe it's over.
She was actually giving me clues about her ex and the things that she didn't like about him, and he was a bit of a gamer, and I think he used to stay on these, and I think she maybe added the two together. I have absolutely no idea. Guys, we've got 10 in the room. Do me a massive favor, if you've just joined us, please repost or retweet the space. This is a Carrot Lane Live episode 2, which myself, Simon and Burge are doing on a weekly basis at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to be talking about everything from NFTs, crypto, some of the stuff TokenWorks is doing, and in general, just about the market. Obviously, none of this is financial advice. You'll find that we are 3 enthusiasts in the space. We love talking crypto and NFTs, and just a mix of everything in the middle. So let's just wait for a few more to join. Simon, how are you doing today, bud? What's been happening?
Yeah, I'm really good. I tell you what, it's great is away from my standard work in the corporate world of training and everything. We were just saying, well, it's great to get together and talk about the stuff. This sounds terrible, that you really like.
Yeah.
And yeah. I really like doing what's all this training malarkey. I like to talk about NFTs and crypto. Yeah. And actually, funny enough, I know things are as they are, but I feel really positive about the space at the moment because I'm just enjoying what's happening, regardless of anything else.
Yeah, Burge, how's things?
Good.
How you keeping, bud?
I've been well. I'm constantly locked in on the timeline, looking at all the chaos that is unfolding in my eyes. Yeah. I've been jumping in under a few posts and giving my 2 cents, which is probably not the popular opinion right now, which is that I don't think that this is here to last. But obviously, none of us know what's going to happen in the future. It's just where I am right now. I see a lot of positive signals that are coming down the line, and I feel like the people that I'm looking at on my timeline are like completely they kind of lost it. Like they've all subscribed to the fact that this is it. It's all going down, and you should sell now because you'll get ahead of the sell-off. And I'm like, well, that sounds a lot like this is the like the fake bear trap, and then we go back up. So anyway, that's kind of my little rant. But I'm feeling good in general.
No, it's good. It's good to hear. I think, Simon, you've obviously been in the space a long time. Burge, you've obviously been in the space a long time. And one of the things I wanted to speak to is maybe some of the kind of uncertainty that's in the market at the moment. Obviously, none of us are economists. There is a lot of good information online. There's a lot of stuff, a lot of conversation around the business cycle. A lot of people, and I'll just put this to you, Simon, a lot of people are obviously still playing that 4-year business cycle. How are you seeing the current dynamics of the current crypto cycle? What's your thoughts around it? Do you think this is probably the end of the cycle, or do you think we kind of extend a little bit further or anything like that?
I do think we do extend further, just because it was interesting. It hasn't played out the way everyone expected to. Therefore, something else is going on.
Yeah.
And we were talking about this before as well. I know that we said one of the problems is if you've got a bit of PTSD from last time and you were putting a lot on this particular part of the year of the cycle, I can understand why there may be a bit of fear there. And I alluded to before, I did in our WhatsApp chat, that there was a 50%, drawdown in the 2021 over the summer from April to June. And people felt, despondent at the time. But I think it's because of where it's positioned in the cycle near the end, when we all were going, come on, it's going to do it. I think it's showing me that something else is happening. And instead of thinking always in cycles, for me, this is me telling myself, this is just an onward going journey, which is going to have ups and downs. But I happen to have a belief that whatever happens, the trajectory sort of longer term is up. Some things will fall away, some things will gain traction. There's no doubt in my mind that right now, some great things are happening, regardless of the storm we're in now. And that's the kind of irony. I mean, some of the collections we're in, some of the coins, things are really tangibly moving forward. So that's why I feel positive.
Good. I like that. It's interesting you say that. When I had Bren on the other day, he was doing some of his technical analysis stuff. And I am always a fan of, I think the answer to most of these things is in the middle or in the gray. And the thing I like about Bren is that he uses the fundamental stuff and also the technical analysis. And he was saying, look, the fundamentals look really good because, financial conditions are easing, interest rates are dropping around the world. And if you believe that more money in the system means that these assets go up, then that's a positive thing. But he did say, and he pulled up the chart, and you mentioned about 2021, is that bear market only lasted for 6 months. I mean, it felt a lot longer. If you look at it on a chart, there was price recovery within 6 months. And I don't think we are anywhere near that capitulation. If you can remember, we had banks folding. Silicon Valley banks folding. You had the FTX fallout. You had the Luna fallout. You had then the entire NFT market dropping by 95%. And then all of a sudden, you had a whole bunch of people who were sat on millions in NFTs basically going to zero. And I just don't think we're anywhere near that.
No.
So, Bud, just want to bring you in on the conversation here, Bud.
Yeah.
What are you seeing generally in the crypto market? I mean, what are your thoughts on, these kind of doomsday messages of people saying, I've sold 90% of my portfolio. It's not going back up again. And then other people are kind of unsure. I mean, what are your thoughts on it, Bud?
What I'm seeing on the timeline is people, it's like this mob. And if one kind of narrative starts to dominate, that's what the crowd runs away with. And enough people have been and obviously the market is down. So it's easier to drive that narrative of, this is it. This is the end. It's all going down. I would say, it's not like I don't 100% believe we're going to rebound, but I am I strongly believe that's the case. The real big narrative that I see pushing right now by smarter folk is, well, it's either bust. It's either bust or a bull or a bust, as in we're going to come back, and this is almost like the bear trap. And people are going to sell off here, and they're going to regret it because this is actually the start of the bull. And then the other narrative that I see is, this is the beginning of the end. Yeah. And I mean, there's people online, they have massive followings, but I think one thing you've got to take into account is, are these people economists as well? Like we're not economists. We don't know what the market's going to do, but are these people with big followings economists and people who can expertly predict the market? I don't think that's the case. I think they have strengths for sure. They can read the market at times. They can read signals, and they've done well. And also they've been able to build up a following, right? So there's a reason why people are following them, but I don't think that they can predict the market 100%. My thinking is, I with all the things that are coming down the line, all the positive things we know with the rate cuts, there's a lot of there's regulation that's gonna give a lot of clarity to the space. There's a ton of things, too many to even name, of positive things that are coming down the line. And not like, people have such short-term memory, because only a week or 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago we were talking about, like, well, this is looking really good. Like, yes, we had that dip, that big liquidation, the biggest liquidation, but now things are starting to look positive for a good end of the year and into next year. And people forget that so quickly, and then people parrot the biggest liquidation. Well, yes, it was the biggest liquidation in crypto, but it was the biggest liquidation because we were at the highest prices, and we're still at high prices. I mean, Bitcoin's at fucking 90,000. Ethereum's at 3K. Like, people,
but it's not that, like, it's not that meme online. It's like, it's got, like, I don't know, the most recent one you've seen, it's got like Piers Morgan, and underneath it goes Bitcoin last week at 100K, and then it's got Piers Morgan at, like, the pigeon lady in Home Alone. I don't know, it looks exactly like him. And then it goes Bitcoin this week at 110K or something like that. It's like, bro, mate, the fucking internet is undefeated with this stuff. Let me kind of let you know where I sort of stand on it. I think if you are in some of these smaller, less liquid ones, the one I speak about often is Sui. I'm very bullish on it. But even like the Solanas, maybe even ETH, but ETH is more established. It's kind of been battle tested. Is actually just thinking that a 60% or 50% drawdown is part of the norm, and actually the volatility being a benefit and a feature of how you make crazy upside. I think people forget about that. They're like, in the back of their minds, they want this big 10x, but actually that only really happens as a product of the volatility, because that downside risk, it's the downside risk that you need to be able to bear to have the crazy upside. And I know it's like a kind of overused thing, but I mean, Simon, did you want to jump in there?
Well, I was just going to say, just very briefly on this. First of all, it's the level of emotion that's flowing through each individual in their response to what's happening. And I'm talking to myself again now. I'm not sort of being a great guru about how I see things, but the level of my emotional response negatively to these storms that come and go, the ones when they come, is for me a reflection of where I position myself and how exposed I feel, and my hopeful thinking and all those kinds of things. And I think I said one time in our chat, it's a really useful time when you're feeling this way to actually sit with those feelings and go, okay, so I'm feeling pretty stressed about this. Why am I feeling stressed? What are the factors making me feel stressed? Is it because, if I'm being really honest, I put too much of my hope into this? I misread that. Okay, it's a good time for me now to consider that, because if you do believe in the long term of this, and there isn't really an end, there are just good times and not such good times, but it's heading in the right direction. If you truly believe that, it's good to think about that, in my opinion, and get used to that, so that when you have the really great times, it's an anchor for you to go, remember how gutted you felt? What do you need to do differently now in the good times to help you feel better in those stormier times? I think it's that kind of emotional balance.
Yeah, I think that's spot on, because see, the thing is, it's kind of like the inverse feeling happens each time, because when the price goes up, you don't want to sell. So it's like infinite regret. Like, you have these assets which are appreciating in price, and then your psychology is, well, I don't really want to sell. Now, for me, like, I'm a young guy. We're all young guys here. We can do the multiple cycle thing.
Well, no, but carry on.
That's why I chucked it in there, Simon. You are, mate.
Yeah, sorry, I should have pretended. I'm actually 26 years old. I've just been through quite a lot.
Actually,
Gary would say, you're a baby.
Yeah, as Gary would say, you're at half time. Fucking stop bitching. Guys, just want to reset the room for the 54 people that are in here. Do me a massive favor. Please share this. Give Simon a follow. Give Burge a follow. Give myself a follow on whatever platform you're on. We're going to be talking about NFTs, crypto, the general market, and also some of the stuff that TokenWorks is doing around punk strategy. It's going to be a real good one. This is something we're going to do week to week. We're enthusiasts. None of this is financial advice, but we hope you to steal a Piers Morgan quote. On with the show. Burge. I think I've used that one twice now, and it went down like an absolute sandcastle. Burge, is there anything coin-wise that you're leaning into? Are you buying anything that you think actually now's the time to have a nibble? Are you waiting? What are your thoughts?
Yes. I mean, I'm sure people know already I'm a massive fan of punk strategy, and with Alt, but I think something I can bring some value maybe to some people just in general here who are looking at altcoins potentially. Now, personally, I've not forayed much into altcoins. I'm not super knowledgeable on that sector, and I don't track it that much either. But having seen punk strategy, my intuition would say this is a good opportunity to enter an altcoin that you're confident on long term. I think, I'm looking at prices right now at altcoins, and obviously after that liquidation they got hit massively. We're down quite a lot, and so I think this is a pretty attractive entry point for a lot of people. If you have an altcoin that you're very confident on long term, this could be the time to get in. And I am adding a little bit each day if I can to punk strategy, and even looking at moving some things around in my portfolio to add a more significant chunk, because I really that's how strongly I believe that this point right now is a really good entry point. Like I'm even willing to maybe take a big asset off the table and at least put some of it into punk strategy, just because I think it's too good of a price right now. In general, I think what Simon said was right. People are emotional, people didn't sell at the top and now they're hurting. It's funny because when you look at the timeline, you'd think that none of these people make money. I mean, everyone wants to sell when it goes down, and when it's up, they're tweeting about it. They're like, oh, on paper, I've made this amount. But and you know what? Going back to going to a guest of yours, a guest on that you streamed with, Zeneca, and he put out a really kind of thoughtful post, an in-depth post about his thoughts of the cycle and how he's managed this cycle. And his biggest the thing that really helped was him taking profits on the way up. And he wasn't taking the profits at the tippy top, but it's helped him because now he can weather this storm, and he's unaffected by this. And I think that's what people have to get into the habit of a little bit more. People are gambling too much. They're holding on for dear life. They don't even know when they're going to sell. They're never going to sell because it's going to keep going up, and they're going to keep being like, yes, this is amazing. And then it's going to crash, and then they're going to be like, why didn't I sell? And people are constantly replaying that. There'll be new people that enter and do the same thing, but there's people who've been here for a few cycles in crypto and are still making that same mistake. And I think that is something worth pointing out. Learn from some of the best. Learn from Zeneca. And it's being comfortable with selling when you're not at the tippy top. You can't call the tippy top, so don't try and predict it.
I kind of totally agree with that, mate. I think the way that I've kind of hacked it is just to have a purpose for it, and usually it's on something frivolous, because then at least you've got some real world thing to look at and go, oh, that's what's got me my crypto.
You mean a purpose for when you're selling?
Yeah, purpose for the funds. Because I think what a lot of people do is everyone knows what the core bets are. It's Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana. Anyone with half a brain cell in crypto knows that is the core position that people should have just to capture the trend. But what ordinarily happens is as those reach all-time highs is that people rotate further down the risk curve, and almost unknowingly during the cycle, they'll rotate out those core bets into some of these less liquid ones, and then the percentages of them actually being successful go down, because some of these assets haven't been battle tested. Whereas I think instead of going for that 50x shot in the arm or whatever it is actually just and not think that you're Nostradamus and you can predict what's going to happen, because no one can. Is actually just have a purpose for it. Pay the debts off.
I agree. Yeah.
Go on the holiday. Buy the triple glazing windows like we need in the UK because it's fucking freezing at the moment.
Totally. Buy food. Actually, buy food.
Oh yeah, food, because we need to live
That's
off
quite
food.
useful. Yeah. Water.
Yeah. Central heating. Like, I don't know, just do the frivolous thing. Buy the car, because then you've kind of got something out of it, and then also it then becomes house money. Instead of I think what you were saying, Simon, and also Burge, is that like people have kind of bet the farm on this cycle because they can see the opportunity. And 2021 was a big one. And I've always said it is that if everyone's got the same idea to sell, it's a bad idea. Like if everyone's thinking the same, and it's common belief that there is a 4-year cycle now. And if the crowd believes that there's a 4-year cycle and everyone's going to sell at a certain time because we're at the end of the cycle because they think we're going to go into a bear market, then that is what will happen. It doesn't matter. I know liquidity is like the dominant force, or it should be, because just by first principles thinking, if there's more money, it's more money to go after these kind of assets. I just want to stick on the token work stuff for a second, as you brought it up, Bert. It was actually due to come in a bit later, but that's cool. We'll kind of roll with it. Do you see any risks? I mean, this to either you around in fact, I'll chuck it to you, Simon, because I know that you've, I think you posted 1 or 2 things. Do you see any risks in it, or do you think the Punk strategy or the Punkster token is a good one to get into now? Do you think it goes lower?
I think, and we said this before, I know that for me, obviously nothing's guaranteed at all. What's fantastic is that it's connected to the most prestigious asset in NFTs, which is CryptoPunks. And therefore, if you believe in that, then by sort of denomination of that, you need to be thinking that probably Punksters is going to be great as well. That's my, but I'm actually very macro when it comes to that. I know that Burge, you're really into the depth of it, but my sense is it's just 2 things. It's common sense if you believe in CryptoPunks to back something liquid behind it, and the beauty of it is it's connected to something we love and care about anyway, which is NFTs. And I much prefer holding some sort of alt, if you like, in connection into something I have a passion for, than just some random alt somewhere else. And I can see the whole mechanics, the flywheel, only add to that positivity for me.
I love that. The thing about this whole thing is that it's gravitated me towards other NFT projects, but also made me keep a closer eye on CryptoPunks, which is like I guess it's the index for the entire NFT ecosystem. Because in the same way, Burge, I know you mentioned last week that Bitcoin drives price of altcoins, kind of has the same impact on NFTs. Burge, anything in the kind of TokenWorks ecosystem outside of Punk strategy that you're looking at? I know that Chimpers and Good Vibes Club have done some really good stuff. It's no surprises that both of their tokens is going to Valhalla. Tyler has now come on. I think he's a strategic partner at Chimpers. Anything in some of these other ecosystems that you're seeing?
Yes, I want to comment on just what I've seen over the last 24 hours, which is Punk strategy going up 30% and Vibe strategy going up, I think it was 20%. This was yesterday, so you won't see it on, like, if you go to CoinGecko now, it'll be like a day too old, so you won't capture them under the 24-hour mark. But Chimpster, actually, I'm just seeing is up 11% in 24 hours. But this is the really interesting one, up 13% over 7 days. Now, every other coin that I have tracked on CoinGecko, from Bitcoin all the way down to ApeCoin and then Punk strategy, it's all negative. Over 7
Yeah.
days, it's all down, 10 to 20+%. Chimpster, bucking the trend, has a green arrow on 7 days at 13%. So that's really interesting. Honestly, I've only just added that to my portfolio. So, so I
really?
thought, as you were saying it, Jay, now I thought that is one I'd like to add. So right now, the ones I'm tracking are Punk strategy, Vibe strategy, Chimp strategy, and then Pain strategy and Check strategy, just because those were ones I initially had a little bit in. And I still do have some in Pain strategy. But yeah, I have to say I'm feeling a lot more positive on Vibe strategy and Chimp strategy as opposed to any of the other strategies, apart from Punk strategy, which is the queen, the top,
Absolutely,
the top one for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I like the fact that the business fundamentals tie into the token as opposed to this kind of separate thing, and it feeds back into the NFT ecosystem, which is why, I mean, for something that's meant to be not stable, it's showing a lot of price stability, and actually, the kind of downside risk is protected by those NFTs in the protocol, and then it becomes, well, do you think the NFTs are valuable? And Chimpers and Good Vibes Club, I've been in those communities and I've hung out a little bit, and they're different ecosystems. Those guys have both sets of brothers have set this up from boots on the ground, the one-on-one game, and it's been an extraordinary journey for both of them. And I'm actually looking forward to seeing how things play out. Go on.
Chimp strategy is the one that really surprised me, because I've seen it, and it was, I knew it was out there, and I saw it on the timeline, but it wasn't on my radar per se as a collection that I was really paying attention to. And so when I was looking at these strategy tokens, and I knew they were going to adopt it as their native token, I was still a bit apprehensive. I was like, well, I can see the Good Vibes Club community on my timeline, and I do see the chimp community as well, the Chimpers community, but I wasn't sure. I really wasn't sure. And now I go to nftstrategy.fun. I look at market cap. It's 1, 2, 3. It's Punk strategy, Vibe strategy, and then it's Chimp above 8, above Pudgy. And I think you're seeing that because they adopted it as their native token. As you said, it gives alignment. It aligns your token holders with your NFT holders. They all want the same thing. Whereas you can have the opposite when you have like an 8 coin and then the NFT holders. And the last thing I'd say is exciting stuff for Token Works. I mean, tweet 2 days ago, we're nearing completion and public release of the token strategy platform. Contracts and front end are nearly ready and actively being tested. Designing and developing this platform has been a true labor of love for our team, and we believe crypto's creator community will be delightfully surprised at all the new tech we've cooked up on chain. So that's really interesting, actually. Shouting out crypto's creator community and maybe hinting about them being able to somehow get involved with maybe a strategy token of some sort. I don't know. But yeah, really, for anyone who really wants to stay up to date with Token Works, go and follow @token_works. Adam used to tweet a lot, but I think he's changed it now. He said he was going to start tweeting some non-business stuff on his main account. And I think now he's pivoted back to Adam's Twitter won't be the place to get the big updates for Token Works. He'll keep that on Token Works, and he'll separate it from his own personal account, which, that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. And actually, just one last thing, just on this whole thing, just while I got it in my head, Burge, you were saying about Chimpsters, Vibesters, etc. And of course, what's fantastic is they're really aligned as two different teams, two different projects, whatever you want to call it, but they're very, very closely connected now. And I think they will uplift each other.
Yes,
when it comes to the strategy tokens. It's about what can we do collectively, obviously separately, got our own identity, we're going down our own paths, but where we can, what can we do to give benefit to both when it comes to the tokens and how we work together? So I think that's another reason why I'm particularly bullish on those two, apart from Punk strategy.
Yeah, I guess it's no secret that the two sets of brothers are good mates, which I think is awesome. Less PvP and more kind of collaborating. Because I think in 2021 there was a bit of that between the founders. It was kind of like, yeah, we're doing this, but they're not. And actually, it's like, guys, we're at a stage now in NFTs. I mean, a couple of weeks ago was probably the lowest point in NFTs when we had all those liquidations. And it requires a coming together of communities and less kind of tribalism.
Yes.
Simon, I just want to stick with you a second, bud. You wrote a tweet earlier on World of Women. I've got V on the live tomorrow, which I'm really excited about. I've now probably done about 5 to 10 hours of research, listening to her speak. One of the things that's very apparent is one, her tenacity. It comes across in every single conversation she's had, but also the kind of bellwether of her career has always been, I guess, in traditionally male-dominated environments that she's leaned into, which I find I think is brilliant. Now, I know that you're a big fan of World of Women. You wrote a post earlier today, a big thread. What are your thoughts and kind of insights on the project, and also around some of the team?
What I love is the fact that, you know, at their AMA and their recent spaces, they really did get specific about the thing. I mean, within reason, they couldn't give away certain things, but they would just, what you get now is a big team, 21 people. They're going at this whole development on all different fronts. So it's not just we're specializing in this area. They've got a very talented team, you know, from AI to whatever it might be, right across the board. That's the first thing. Very interested to hear, you know, obviously Sweet Pea and V have been very good friends and allies, if you like, as angel investors in the past. They got in very early. Not only was V clearly part of Pudgy Penguins and absolutely instrumental in getting the funding, but they were early investors in that, both together. So they're serious people, and they've got a great infrastructure, which I'm sure you'll explore. So I won't say too much with them, but they've got a kind of backing that is very different from other people, which I think is brilliant. In my post, I said something that I think went under the radar a little bit, and it's a subtle difference. And I can say this from the point of view of someone who's been 4 years in the in the ecosystem of World of Women. It's always been great. I've always loved it and loved the community. It used to feel, nevertheless, still like a very, it's not about being women led. It was very women focused, which is only right. God, you know, of course. Absolutely right. And I never felt as a man entering that space in any way uncomfortable. But what I think the shift I heard from what Sweet Pea was saying was, look, we happen to be, and we're proud to be, women led. However, we aren't just saying inclusive, because some of these words sometimes are quite abstract unless they've got some meaning behind them. We are saying that men are equal partners in this. And in fact, we're going as far as to say that we think sometimes younger men, particularly, I said in my tweet, have felt quite disenfranchised. And that isn't great. That isn't great. There's no, why does anyone want that? So we are absolutely standing as a community that we happen to be women led. Everyone really is welcome, and the climate, the culture, whatever you want to, that we create represents that, and that is a different from being a women focused group. It's a genuine opening up. And as I said, the final thing I'll say in my sort of tweet, I feel like, was obviously, as we all know, a lot of these collections, a lot of these founders are male led, male dominant communities, and they do welcome women. Of course they do welcome people, but it doesn't always necessarily feel an entirely conducive for everyone. It has its own vibe, and therefore I think what they're doing is refreshing, not just on everything they're doing at a technical front and all the different places, but actually the culture. And that's what I know V was very hot on, was creating a genuinely welcoming culture.
I like the transparency. I like the transparency of what they're doing, and they're kind of out in the open. obviously, Burge, I'll kind of bring you into this conversation, but I think, did you get into the project in 2021? I mean, I made one of the, yeah.
I didn't.
Yeah, I mean, I made one of the biggest faux pas in crypto history, which is I went for a walk during a bull market without my phone, and I got back. And there was this project called World of Woman, which was being shared around in a Discord, and I was like, oh, well, I like the art. The whole provenance piece of it being the kind of first female-led project. I know there was Fame Lady Squad, but then there was like a Russian gang behind it or some shit. I can't even remember. And this was the one, and the art was good, and it was picking up a lot of mind share. And I thought, you know what, I'll get two. And by the time I had done the whole rigmarole of transferring my ETH and from my Coinbase into my MetaMask, and then it was all clunky, and it went up to like 0.6, and I was like, I'll just leave it. And then, like a year later, it was at like 16 ETH or 14.
I know.
Or whatever the floor was.
And beautifully, I held on to that, and then all the way down again. It was a stunning act.
So, I mean, I just because I know you're very good on the pricing stuff, Burge. But do you think that World of Woman kind of gets back up to those prices?
I think it's clear to me, even having not bought a token back in 2021, it had kind of solidified its place as the number one and the female-led project. I know there's a lot of others, but that WoW is like, as I said, kind of like Bitcoin is the face of crypto. CryptoPunks is the face of NFTs, and WoW is the face of the female-led projects and the women in the space, especially trying to carve out their kind of their portion of the space and this industry as it and this kind of market as it explodes and as these things go to new heights. So WoW, it's very, I think the brand of WoW is very strong. I think that's maybe why we saw such a big partnership with Tezos, and I know that didn't get so much attention as maybe it deserved, but that was a heavy hitter coming in because they realized, oh, maybe this was a chance to buy up or to partner with a brand that is extremely strong. It's in a really good place. And so I do think it will go. I think it will go. My worry is, even with that image, right? Even with punks and Bitcoin, right? They're amazing, but they don't have to do anything. I still think WoW does have to do something. I think it has to be ran well, and I think it'll be a test. It will be it's down to the team now to see what they can really do with it, because we've seen it with a lot of other NFT projects. If it's mismanaged, then maybe it doesn't quite get to the heights where it's destined to be.
Yeah, I think you're spot on. I think the thing I love about WoW is if you actually look at all of the projects, it's kind of the only mission-led one. It's the one that's kind of like, this is about empowering females. And somewhat ironically, the male is the space is dominated by females. It's interesting, and this is going to go off kilter slightly, but my gym at the moment are toying with the idea of having a women's only hour on a Thursday in the sauna between 6 and 8. And obviously there's a bit of uproar in the gym between some of the men who are like, well, this is like peak hour. This is when I like to go to the spa or whatever. But then when you actually look at what's happening, and this is going to be some of the stuff I kind of dig in with V, because I really want to understand more about her experiences. But when you actually see what's happening, there's stories of like one girl going in and there's 20 guys in the steam room, or there'll be, there's like a group of guys who are like trying to chat up or talk to one girl, and it's uncomfortable. And these are like, I won't cross that path into wokeism, but I think as a man, especially in the space, there's a growing awareness that there's these struggles that people have, and then if you kind of compare that to Web3, it's hard enough being a founder as it is, because everything that you're doing is being exposed. Then also you have this kind of this kind of undercurrent, or this feeling of having to prove oneself all the time, and having to in Web3 you have to explain yourself anyway. I mean, we've had some of the best founders, like some really like big ones, like Kevin Rose has dipped, Tom Bilyeu. I know Ty Lopez launched an NFT project, but I mean, there's a whole harem of people, and that's because it's incredibly difficult. So I think, to your point, Simon, I think, and the reason why I wanted to do these live streams and particularly interview the founders and the leaders of this is as a support arm, not right, we're going to tear apart everything that you're doing, because we realize it's fucking hard.
Yeah.
Well, yes. And one thing I was going to say is that V and Sweet Pea and other members of the team, very experienced, very successful, and as human beings, first and foremost. And what I think is really great is what Sweet Pea, she said, do you know what? This isn't right that I walk down the street and young men are coming towards me and they won't even look me in the eye. They look awkward. They look uncomfortable. It's like they're feeling disenfranchised. That isn't anywhere to go. That isn't the way to go. That wasn't what we were supposed to be looking to do. We're looking to just be all adults, grown-ups, human beings first. And we're here. We happen to be women-led. Yet, whatever, it may or may not create a different kind of culture, but we're here to uplift everyone, not in some sort of slightly cheesy way. So I think that's the other thing, is they're trying to get away from that slightly old, as I see it, slightly old, even if it's 2024. They're going, no. It's now the next level. And that's what I was trying to get through in my thread. It's gone beyond that even. It's like, we're confident. We don't need to have to apologize for anything. We're not going to. We're simply recognizing something has to shift. So, I love that.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic.
I'm thinking, I was gonna say, I'm just like, it must be so difficult to navigate the space, founder, or even if you're not a founder, as a woman, because I feel like you're just they're getting a lot of attention which they didn't ask for. So like, for example, a lot spaces are very common on X. People run tons of spaces. People join up and they go as a speaker, right? I imagine that my experience on the timeline, commenting under people's posts and joining spaces and coming up as a speaker and saying my 2 cents is completely different to a woman my age. And that's because, they're going to get so much more attention because it's so male dominated, that they're going to attract some bad folks. And they're going to have to deal with that. And I think it's kind of that situation of like, I don't know what it's like in their shoes, but I can have an inkling, but it's very hard for me to take that into account sometimes of how they experience this space, Web3 space, NFTs, crypto, and how, as you said, as a founder, you're getting challenged anyway, but it's that other degree when you're a woman that I think you're put under even more, and you shouldn't be. You're put under even more pressure to prove yourself, and in fact, it should be a level playing field.
Yeah. I think it's spot on. I want to kind of move on from that subject. Thanks for your input there, guys. Simon, you and I often talk about NFT projects. The thing I love about you, bud, is that you get me out of my echo chamber, and you're like, Jay, there's a lot of stuff out there, and actually one of the things that you talk about, or one of the projects you talk about, is Claynosaurs, and one that you're very bullish on. You're very good with safety signals. So there's something in it. And I was actually listening to a podcast the other day with their founder. I can't actually remember that. I think he's got a kind of obscure surname, but I can't actually remember his name. You'll probably correct me. But they were talking, actually, have they given equity to their NFT holders?
Yeah, I'm staking mine at the moment. And it's a bit like Chimpsters in the fact that the IP IP first, character first and driven. And I think I might have said before to you, it's really simple for me. It's about having a product that appeals to a very wide range of people. And when you think about Claynosaurs, think about Chimpers, the actual characters, the brand is just, it's wholesome, it's fun. And with Claynosaurs and Chimpers, very, very witty. So with Claynosaurs, what I think, it's not just these are fun, appealing things. There's a lot of humor, a lot of character. And of course, they're making very tangible moves as well, aren't they? So, and Bergiu very kindly sent through that piece on them being gold sponsors of the World Animation Series just over the last few days, where Netflix and Disney were present. And gold sponsorship is not a tiny bit of money, and so their brand is, they're going places. They are a studio first and foremost. You often said, Jayden, about you can see companies starting first and then getting NFT, doing the NFT thing. They're an example of what that could have been the case if they were being born now, funny enough, right? But they happen to, have the NFTs. But of course, the founders, these are people who come from, worked at Disney previously. So they all came together. They're not just DreamWorks, I believe, Sony, all these places. So they're real players and they are doing real things. I keep going back to that, real things, real people doing real things, but they really are making ground. It's not just some sort of vague vision or roadmap. They are making strides. And we talked about this before. They're making strides where Web 2 is, not asking it to come to them. And I love this Hebrew entertainment launchpad they've created, where they're basically saying, making use of blockchain, they're saying that super fans can now help to elevate the projects they love by having some skin in the game. And that means when a project gets to the point where it could go to the next level, it's not just down to sort of a few very wealthy, powerful executives making decisions. It's been armed and battle tested by super fans that have elevated to that point. So it's sort of bringing creators and super fans together. That's another really tangible thing, isn't it? It's brilliant.
Yeah, no, I love it. I mean, when you hear more of a project that comes up on the timeline, I always think that's a signal. But it's like, how far do you kind of stretch your bandwidth? But I love that you're in that project, and we'll keep talking about it more and more, mate, as I do my research on it. But I just want to come to you. Obviously, it was Gary Vaynerchuk's birthday the other day, his 50th, and he was kind of all over the timeline. I'm telling you right now, for my 50th, I'll be out on the lash somewhere.
I can't remember mine. It was a long time ago.
You can't remember it, Simon, because you're probably out and out. But obviously, Gary is he's workaholic. He's got really loud about the VFriends NFT ecosystem. But also, what I like about him is he's championing other ecosystems that people are kind of leaning into. So, Bert, is there anything that you see in the VFriends stuff? I know that you actually worked for them for a while. You may still be working for them.
I'm still doing some contract work. Still doing some UK card shows, which is really interesting to see. Kind of like putting VFriends out into the real world and seeing how people react to it, how people if they're interested in the brand, and honestly, my experience is they are. We have it's really cool. We have a booth where we have so much that we can show in terms of physical products, which is, as something that started off as an NFT project. I actually met a gentleman the other day when I was at one of these shows, and he said, I actually minted one of those Series 1 NFTs. I don't have it anymore, but I didn't realize this is what it had become. I didn't realize all of these things had happened. The not just the trading cards, but the pins, the plushies, the collaborations with big brands like Mattel, Masters of the Universe. They did a collab. There was a Reebok collab, a sneaker collab. There was a collaboration with Steph Curry for the new Super Sticker set, the manga series. There is comic books, which they've been pushing heavy. We're already up to, I think, issue number 8 with issue number 9 on the way. They've really put a lot of money into that in terms of hiring comic book artists, writers, well, mainly the art team. Actually, the story is a little bit of Gary and a little bit of the comic book team. Kids book. There's a kids book on Amazon. So this guy could see it all displayed, and he hadn't seen anything for 3 or 4 years, and it was almost like this kind of like, oh, hold on a second, what's happened here? Like, I minted this Series 1 NFT, then he must have got rid of it maybe a year later or so, and then he kind of had forgotten about VeeFriends. And so for him to come across it at a card show where he wasn't planning on, coming across it, he wasn't planning on seeing VeeFriends, he saw it there, and he saw all of the different things that they managed to achieve over 3 or 4 years. And it's really impressive, really, the amount that they've been able to collaborate and partner with big brands and push out this physical, these IRL products, these physical products. That I think VeeFriends is extremely underrated in that fact. I think a lot of people on the timeline in the crypto and NFT space, they do not acknowledge or don't recognize how much VeeFriends has done. I would argue that it's done more than Pudgy Penguins. It's done more than any other NFT brand, any other NFT project or brand that started off as an NFT project. It's done more than them in terms of collaborations with big brands. That's one, and also physical products and the sheer amount of physical product. I mean, they have Christmas tree decorations. My Christmas tree is going to have a few VeeFriends. Who else has? God. No one else has Christmas. We have socks. Okay,
you're not a nerd, Burge. You're not.
I know Bored Ape do have socks. Like, merch is one thing. I get it. There's projects that have merch, but they've taken it to a completely new level. I mean, VeeFriends was doing cards before a lot of other projects were doing cards, and then we started to see, oh, actually, then Pudgy Penguins started to do cards as well. I don't know. I think they were naturally going to go that way anyway, but I think they saw the success that VeeFriends maybe had, and they thought, we could do that with our brand. So that's in general,
just to dive in there.
Yeah,
he was advertising on Sora.
Yes.
Have you seen that? That's like the forward thinking this guy has with marketing is fucking crazy. He has a team of 35 people who just do his social media. It's
I don't think there's another NFT project that has Sora content. I mean, I might be wrong, but that's actually like doing it, like the company. Whereas maybe there is other projects where a community member has gone and put something up, but where the actual team has actually deliberately made some content for Sora, I don't know of another project.
Interesting. What was the second thing you were going to say?
Yeah, the general point I want to say, which I think will give value to a lot of people listening, is I think we're starting to see a shift here. I think we're starting to see a shift from VeeFriends not being recognized or acknowledged or almost being shunned a bit. That's what I saw over the last 3 or 4 years, where you'd see these tier lists of projects. VeeFriends would never be in them. It'd be shunned because it was, connected to Gary, and some people don't have strong opinions of Gary. Gary's not really actually controversial when you get to know him, but he is. Sometimes he's a bit hot and cold, or he's a bit like Marmite. Some people love him, some people hate him, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But what I think that we've started to see is a shift, because I'm seeing right now, if you look at the market, and I've seen tier lists include VeeFriends more and more, which is interesting. It's just something that I've noted, but that's a small thing. In the actual market, during the downturn, when the NFTs are down and all NFT projects are suffering, I'm seeing VeeFriends in the list of projects that is actually trending up. So I saw it with I saw a list the other day where someone was saying, actually not all NFT projects are going down. Over the last 7 days, these are the projects that have trended up, and VeeFriends Series 2 was part of it, 13% up. And I think VeeFriends Series 1 would have been up a little bit, or maybe just not down as much as some of these other projects, which means relatively it's performing stronger. And I think you're starting to see this shift where people are going to start to acknowledge what VeeFriends has done, and it's going to happen quietly, but overnight people are going to shift their opinion of the project, and they're going to be like, No. Look at all the great stuff. They're going to buy some, and then they're going to be like, look at all the great stuff that they managed to do.
It's you make a perfect point. It's somewhat ironic that all the weaknesses that Web3 think that VFriends have is actually now its strength. You know, you're seeing the price strength of VFriends increase because he's onboarding all of these people from Web2. And you know, it's interesting. Like, I've spoken to people who say, "Oh, he's a Web2 guy," and it's just like, but that's a strength. How many people do you think are fucking buying NFTs? Like, there aren't many people buying NFTs. It's like, we need more audience here to buy your bags, which is interesting. Simon, go on.
They thought he left as well during that period, but he just went quiet. But he was going quiet, but he was still head down working on it every single day. That's what they don't get. They think Gary completely left the space, but it can't be further from the truth. The team and Gary went head down and just executed and just stopped talking on the timeline as much.
I think he plays on that. I think he knows. You're talking about one of the best digital marketers in the world. He knows about what his awareness is and what his reach is around us. Simon, I just want to bring you into the kind of VFriends ecosystem. I don't think I've been able to convert you just yet, because
not yet.
Did you have any thoughts on some of the things? And I think it's actually better coming from you, because I'd like to know what your perception is. You know, what do you think? Because obviously I'm one of the top VFriend holders in both collections. I say top, maybe top 20 or 25, which means I'm 25th. What's your perception of the project, Bud? Like, how do you think about it? And also, just say what you really think.
Yeah, no, of course. I thank you. Well, first of all, it's really interesting hearing Burge talk about VFriends, and then the parallel with some of these other projects that we've talked about already. And the common denominator is them actually building things, real things. I was thinking about, I wonder if in 2021 you were looking at all these different, you're involved in these collections, and someone said, I'm going to give you an insight into what's happening 4 years later, 2025, as we come to the end of it. This is what this team are doing. This is what this ones are. This is the progress being made. And then you'll see other ones, quite understandably, or much slower. And I think that's a really good barometer, isn't it, of progress? And it sounds like VFriends, maybe at the biggest scale, are doing things that others are doing, like Dinosaurs, etc. Tangible, real things. As an outsider looking in, I need to understand it a bit more. It seems more, that's because I haven't looked deep enough. It seems a little bit more complex, which is probably utterly ridiculous thing to say, because it probably isn't any more complex, but it has some complexity at a visual level for me. And I'd like to have it understand it in clearer terms. That is maybe right or wrong, but it's just my perception.
Right. I think you're absolutely right, and I think it was interesting the way he launched the project. He did it in such a way that there was so much missing information that people would have to make an emotional decision to get into it. And then what actually happened, Simon, because I've been a part of like crowdfunding and stuff like that before. I'm not saying that this NFT project was that, although it kind of was. Is it kept professional investors at bay? Like, Gary is very big, and he's very big in the VC world, and what he wanted was his kind of inner circle community, the ones who supported him, to not have any information, but he knew that they would make an emotional decision to get into the project. Incidentally, it 40x'd straight away. So some of the early minters, they're still up. Obviously, there are a group of people that got in slightly later, but people on the fringes of the ecosystem don't really understand it, because I think that confusion is something that's done purposely. He's done it purposely because he's leaving bits of information out around the IP and the things he can do. You can join you can kind of join the dots with what he's trying to do. I happen to believe that he's using the token as the provenance of the project, and I guess any revenue generated now in the current climate with the administration we have, you know, he could set something up where those original token holders get some type of commercial upside from the turnover of the business. I don't know what VFriends is doing. They have been doing whatnot streams and selling out like a couple of $100,000 worth of merch within like literally no time. If they're a UK-based business, I'd be able to pull up their accounts and see what they were doing. And but unfortunately, can't do that. So there's a lot of you're betting on one man's altruism here, in my opinion.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking that, but and also his brand and how he comes across, as you said, Burge. He could be polarizing for some people, but when you get to know him, he said he's not quite what you think.
Yeah.
But what I was going to say is that it's interesting you asked that question, because it almost that you go to what could be even better, which is, who am I to say that about someone who's doing what he's doing? But maybe just at a very simplistic level, it would be interesting to hear some other voices from the VFriends team, more prominent. But maybe I'm not looking for that. But he is such a dominating voice that I'd love to get a different sense of, because everyone's different. Everyone brings a little something, don't they, in a team? The leadership does, and it'd be nice to get that difference.
I've done all the tweets, I've done all the posts, and I've done all the. I've even done the old beating of the drum. Yeah, guys, I've got a few of these. Like, it'd be great if you could jump on, but we'll get there eventually. I've spoken to Jeremy, and he's a great guy.
Jeremy would be a great person to come on for sure. He would be a great person to do that. You know, I'm a halfway house. You know, I'm doing a little bit of work.
Hey,
they're probably like, Burge is loud enough for all of us. if you're not satisfied with him, you haven't got me going. Like, for example, you know, I've just pulled up the recaps for the last 2 years, and like I'll just speed run through like, this is 2023, for example. They did an NFT airdrop from on the Book Games collection. They did a collaboration. They have VFriends vending machines. A lot of people don't know about that. We have physical vending machines that are in multiple. Yes,
in every state
in America.
Wow!
Because what they did is they did it as this partnership scheme where you bought the vending machine, but then you make the profits. So you buy, you know, the mini figurines at wholesale prices, and then you make the profits. But you have to buy the machine. So I think the machine was like $750, and then it gives you some minis as well to start off with. So I think what you would do is if you bought that machine, if you then sold it, you'd break even on your investment. So you wouldn't lose anything as long as you sell all the minis, which you should do over time. And then after that, when you buy more minis and you sell them, you're in profit immediately. So it was a really clever system. I'll give you another one. They did a partnership with Bartbridge, which is a hat company. There's a pickleball team that is branded with a VFriends character called the Fives, the New York Fives. They've done countless eruptions and treasure chests with Burn Island. They had a Beeple collaboration with a gift goat. The gift goats, I mean, we touched on that in the stream last week, where that's the cheapest entry for a Beeple artwork that actually is on chain and is collaborated with Beeple, and in like Beeple it's approved and everything. That's like the cheapest way to get a piece of Beeple artwork. They did VCon for 3 years. You know,
yes, I remember hearing about that at the time when they were doing it. Yes,
I mean, but they've collaborated with like Coinbase, Johnny Walker.
Can I just say,
tons.
You've hypnotized this whole energy. I am now hypnotized. I am now compelled. I am buying.
If Simon gets up like that and then walks to
out,
his credit card,
straight out onto the street saying VFriends.
It's a bloody Snoop Dogg collab. There's a song with Snoop and Gary. You know,
he's done it. He's done a lot, and I think he's done that kind of development. Oh man, we're forgetting about the Topps Chrome.
Yeah, Topps Chrome is massive.
Topps Chrome do 100 billion a year in card revenue. You know, if VFriends just do like 0.5% of that's 500 million just in card sales, and then the rookie card is the fucking NFT. So people are going to collect these things and go, oh shit.
Yeah. Do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to bring my 3 young adult kids, my children, say,
tell them to remortgage their houses.
This is what slightly nerdy, crazy people do, everyone. This is a nerd. This is a nerd.
Simon, you should have seen. In 2021, I had I still have it, hollow gifted gopher, and I was getting $200,000 offers on it.
Wow.
65 ETH when ETH was at all-time highs. Multiple from OpenSea. And I would show the odd person, you say about you know, your kids, and I'd show the odd person and they would be like, why the fuck aren't you selling this thing?
Yeah, I know.
It was the social signaling. It was like the connection with the community. And it was just like, I don't, now obviously it's dropped by like 95%. And even then, people are saying, "Well, they're
why don't you sell it?"
They're even questioning the other 5%. And I think once you've gone through one of those, it's you become a wartime general when it comes to crypto. But I am empathetic to people who are kind of struggling with the drawdowns at the moment. Guys, I just want to reset the room quickly. Myself, Burge, and Simon are doing a weekly, I guess we could call it a show, but it's more a bit of a round table talking about NFT projects that we're into. If you've got any questions, make sure you post them on the comments. They do come through to us. Burge, are there any comments that come through from Substack or any questions or anything?
Let me give it a quick check.
Make
sure you guys are retweeting the lives wherever you're watching this. Please give us a retweet. It's our second show or second round table. So we really appreciate anyone who can share.
Yeah, nice one. Simon, I know that you are like, if everything were to disappear tomorrow, I know that the only thing that you'd be happy that hung around was your Yuga assets.
Yes.
I think you would probably, like, if you had the choice, it'd just me and Burge would be gone, and it'd just be you and your Yuga.
I know. I'm okay. Thanks, guys. You've just left me with all this. What the hell am I going to do? You know.
I mean, I'll give you a bit. Like, obviously, you started talking about it a bit more. I kind of mid-curved it in 2021. I had the whole thing with the team being anonymous, and I couldn't buy it because the team were anonymous, and the price was going up. I liked the art, and I just didn't get into it. And then it went up to like 150 ETH, and people got airdrop millions, and rah. I should be in a padded sell. But then I had an opportunity a couple of weeks ago after the liquidations to get into the mutants. And I will say, for the first time, it doesn't feel like a community that I've had to engineer myself into. I've actually just slotted in perfectly because they're people I relate to, same sort of age, and they seem a bit more mature, and they're kind of I kind of relate to them all, and I've had good interactions with them. I mean, what's your kind of thesis around the project? I know that you are a very big fan of Gaga and some of the stuff that he's doing, but any kind of thoughts on it?
Well, it was just to say that from my perspective, it's been interesting seeing now Nexus in the other side has settled down for a week or so, you know, and people are going in there and playing around and everything. I think it's quite an important time really for the NFT space, because I think it will show itself to be in time, because what I've noticed, and I was thinking about this, that, you know, there we were 2021 and onwards with our beloved JPEGs, you know, and that we all love, and we have communities we build around them. And what I think is fantastic, and I know we all kind of knew this is where it was going to go really, but it's actually happening. In the other side, you are going in, your JPEG comes to life, it becomes 3D, you morph into it, for want of a better phrase, and you step into the other side, and then you are connecting. I was seeing, I don't know which collection it was, but they all met. A whole lot of them jumped in and met at something like the Coda Temple or something, and they were all gathered there. Now, were they talking a lot? I don't know, but they could talk, because like any networking event, does everyone always talk? I don't know. But the main thing is, they had a place to go away from X and away from Discord that was 3D. I mean, I said, I think it was to World of Women. I said, let's get in there. We've got to get in there. And they said, we are. And I was saying, because, it's so great. You can get in there and potentially that's where you can have the bubbles. You can have your spaces equivalent in the bubbles. You can congregate and you can connect with each other. And it just brings to life the things that we hold in our wallet and it makes them 3D. And of course, this is just the beginning. I can see people meeting in there, going on their adventures, playing the games, having their chats. And at some point in the future, they'll be providing a service. It'll be, especially when the other side deeds become something far more powerful that they can utilize and bring to life creations. So I can see it at the beginning. And I think it's been an important moment for the whole space, which maybe will show itself as time goes by. I'm just interested to see what they're going to keep releasing. And I think I've said before to you that Michael Figge is very creative as a creative force at the moment there. He'll have lots of stuff. They'll have lots of stuff up their sleeves. And if I think I get a sense of who they are, they're not going to give you everything in one go.
Yeah.
They're going to slowly
I thought some of their announcements were, incredible. Like the Amazon collaboration. That's huge.
Oh yeah.
Now in 2021, that has sent things rocketing. Obviously, the climate is slightly different now. Bert, I just want to bring you in here. I know that you've been very deep in the OpenSea rewards ecosystem. I'm hearing a lot of things on the timeline that some of the rewards that people are getting are quite underwhelming. On a personal note, I think OpenSea have been doing I think they've been doing well with it, especially like the UI and the user experience with some of the features. I think are brilliant.
Yes.
I think it's kind of unfortunate that they're kind of pushing this boulder uphill into a headwind of terrible financial conditions, where people don't really have the money in their pockets to kind of spend on these things. And I think there's a lot riding on this C token in January. What do you see at the moment in that ecosystem, bud?
Yeah, so I got involved with their rewards program fairly early. I wasn't like right off the start, but I started to get involved with it in wave 1 and wanted to get a good chest. I ended up getting up to, I think it was Topaz, which was a decently high chest. Back then, the bottom 6 chests, or sorry, like the last 6 chests, which were Amethyst, Topaz, Sapphire, Ruby, Ember, Solar, they captured about 2% of the people that were in the rewards program, that took part, that participated. Interestingly enough, wave 2, it's just over 1%. So that shows you almost 50% of people not going for those chests, those latter chests. So they definitely lost a lot of people between waves, but I'll touch on that in a second. My experience personally was, yes, the rewards weren't the best, but I kind of don't understand where people are coming from in so much that it got so much backlash. People were, they weren't sure if it was going to do well. People thought that it wasn't going to be amazing. And then, but there were some other people that were kind of still holding out and hoping. And then we got the rewards, and the rewards were a little bit underwhelming for sure. I think what I don't understand from people's like why they thought that was, I think when the real reward, the way you create value for these people who are taking part in the rewards program is with a token. And so people, because you got this, what was it called? Was it called a treasure? Let me just check. You got a treasure along with your reward, and it represents the additional C allocation you're going to get. Now, the reason why I don't think people were correct on the timeline, even though it was wildly negative, the response was because they said, well, the rewards don't even pay me back for the fees that I paid to farm this chest. Well, firstly, mate, you didn't you farmed it in the most stupidest way possible, where you were just buying the token and selling it, and like like they weren't trying to make a small profit. They were buying an NFT and selling it with the fees, and then hoping that the reward that they would be given would pay them all back for the fees. If they just sold at the same price they bought that, or they just immediately sold it into a collection offer.
Yeah.
So firstly, you had to be a bit more tactical than that. What I did was, when strategy tokens were coming out, I was actually trading checks. I was trading Xcopy, Max Payne's. I was trading them, and I was trading them for small profits, whilst obviously farming the rewards program, farming the treasure chests. This is the key thing. Yes, people got underwhelming rewards in terms of, ETH or NFTs that they were given, but they also got this treasure that represents a C token allocation. The real decider of whether this rewards program was good or not will be when C drops, and how much that C token allocation is going to be worth. Because these rewards program could be well worth it. We just don't know. It's a delayed thing because we're waiting for the TGE for the C token to come out for us to know how much I actually got in that Wave 1 rewards. Now, key thing here I want to point out, if you go over to OX Rodo, big account on X, he's been doing the numbers on the chests. And it's clear.
Do you want to share your screen, bud? Have you got it on your screen?
Sure. Yeah, for sure. Let me share it.
You just click share screen there.
Let me just grab it. Okay. So what I'm going to show you is so this is treasure chest number 1. Now, it's not numbers. I feel like I could find that, but the actual overall numbers. But I know them kind of off the cuff anyway, which is, I know that over 50% of... there's under 50% of the people doing Wave 2 than there was in Wave 1. So it's fallen dramatically, the amount of participation. But you can kind of see it here, actually, because you've got the raw numbers below the percentages. So look here at this is Wave 1. At the top, at the bottom 6, you see there's about 2% over this. You got 1% in Amethyst alone. You've almost got another % in Topaz and Sapphire. And then there's about 0.3, 0.4 in this Ruby, Ember, and Solar.
Yeah.
If we go to Wave 2, you'll get... Look at... Actually, look at just wood, iron, and steel chests. Look at the raw numbers. 9,700 wallets, 180,000 wallets, 154,000 wallets. Now I'm going to go to Wave 2. Look, they've halved. Right. Now you're looking at 90,000 for iron. You're looking at 76,000 for steel. You're looking at 18. Actually, wood is higher because people haven't even been doing anything. They've just been sitting on wood. And that's not because they've gone down to the latter chests. They haven't. The latter chests are even meeker. Now there's only 1% of the total participation is in these chests at the bottom. They did introduce an additional chest, the diamond chest. I secretly think that the people doing these rewards programs and farming them are going to win, but only if they were farming in a good way, in a smart way, where they were trying to make profitable trades. Maybe they weren't successful all the time, but they were trying to make profitable trades that paid for the fees, so they were at a net zero. That's what I think you should have been going for. But I secretly think that all the people that are farming the rewards program are going to win when the C token comes out, because that C token allocation is going to be meaningful. So the C token allocation, just for people who don't know, if you've done the rewards program, you can look here, and on treasures, you can see here, you've got a tier. This is my tier 8, which was from Wave 1. And then I have a tier 4 from Wave 2. And I actually have another tier from helping out when the OpenSea 2 beta was happening.
Interesting.
So that's the numbers.
But do you have any thoughts on potentially how they reward historical activity? Because I know there was a lot of social pressure online about, hey, we've spent thousands on gas here, and using OpenSea. Do you think they'll support historical?
Yes, we know that they are. We know that they are. Adam Hollander came out and said it that was going to be a meaningful. it was going to be meaningfully considered. I mean, it was pretty vague terms, but I think what I learned from hearing some other spaces about it or seeing some other posts about it is they have to be vague. I mean, there's a lot of legality that comes into, especially with launching a token, and they had to be vague. They can't just come out and say, look, you're going to be significantly rewarded, because that opens themselves up to a lot of scrutiny and a lot potentially to being sued if they say something and then it doesn't pan out. But I do think historical activity is going to be, I mean, they're smart. It feels like they're doing the right things, as you said. They're rolling out good changes. They're bringing out good updates to the website. Honestly, using OpenSea in the last few months has been a real breath of fresh air compared to like if you go back a year or two, it felt like it was lagging behind. It felt like it was almost stuck in the prehistoric era, and these other marketplaces had eaten up its market share. But now OpenSea feels a bit more modern. It feels a bit more with the times. Yes, I think public sentiment, it's still gonna be tough to win it over, but I think they can do that with a successful token launch. They have to be really tactical, because how do you keep people holding that token and not just dumping
That's what I was going to say to you, Burj. Will they? They must have plans for how they're going to ensure it doesn't just all get sold off and like other tokens.
Even if they do have plans, even if they have promising plans, the problem is you have to convince people that it's worth holding on to. You can have the best plans in the world, but people might still dump it straight away. So I think naturally token launches, I've not seen a token that doesn't suffer from a big dump at the beginning. I mean, arguably strategy tokens were the ones that started to buck that trend a little bit. But
this is exactly what I was just about to say. I mean, OpenSea could just do a strategy token on every single NFT. Every single NFT in the ecosystem and say, this is our strategy token. Done.
Could you imagine if OpenSea actually pivoted? They just did.
Mate, there'd be uproar. But I think
it's a big surprise.
Part of the obvious thing would be, okay, if you want to use OpenSea, you can use C token, and then obviously what you do is you increase the square root of the users who have exposure to the token, because now they need to use it as a utility, almost in the same way that you'd use BNB. Because I know I think you get 20% off trading fees on Binance or whatever if you use their native token. And now it gets more people into the network, and the longer they hold on to that token, the more.
Right. So are you saying that there'll be a benefit for holding it and using it over just dumping it?
I don't see why they wouldn't.
I think they have to.
I think it makes sense.
Yeah. Otherwise, the token is just going to completely nuke off the beginning, because people they've seen enough. They've seen enough like times like Blur, Looks Red. They know what happens. So when everyone knows that it dumps, it goes up and then it dumps. Like people are going to dump like immediately, pretty much.
Yeah.
Guys, I just want to dive in there, and you guys can carry on. We're coming to the end of our live stream. We kind of plan on doing these for an hour. Sometimes they go over when we just kind of go with the flow of the conversation. I know Simon and Burge have probably got better things to get on with today. But for the 213 people listening, it would really mean the world to me if you could subscribe as a free subscriber to Carrot Lane. You'll get all of our written content and also the video recordings and snippets from the live streams that we're doing. You can either go to the link in my bio, or you can go to carrotlane.com and just register as a free subscriber, and then you'll get all of the content in written form. Would really appreciate it. Guys, just kind of closing up here, because we've been going for about an hour and 23 minutes, and I really appreciate your thoughts. Very insightful as usual. How are you playing the next couple of months? How are you feeling about things? My personal view, if I was going to put my neck on the line, I would say we're probably in for a little bit more pain over the next month or two, but I don't think this is going to be a deep bear market. I think we recover after that. Financial conditions are just signaling an upward trend. And I think we pick back up maybe in Q1, like end of Q1 next year is my view. Do either of you have any personal thoughts on what might happen?
My thinking is, I think it might even be a little bit more soon than that. I think you're right. There could be a little bit more downward pressure, but my thinking is the narrative is going to start to twist on its head, and things are going to start going the other way faster than you might think. And my thinking, it could happen. It could happen early December. It could happen late December. It could happen, in January next year. My thinking is, I mean, especially you've got airdrops as well. I mean, that was another thing that I didn't even mention.
It's going to be mayhem.
There's going to be so many airdrops. You've got the C airdrop coming Q1, which we were just talking about. And just actually to finish up on that point, I was going to say the wording from Adam Hollander was treasures from the rewards program are going to be meaningfully considered, and so it will historical activity. So, my thinking is, in general, the market's going to pick up. I'm viewing this time right now as the low point. Yes, I think things can get they could get a little bit lower, but I don't think we're going to see any significant downward pressure. I don't think we're going to see any more significant downward pressure from this point. So I don't think we're going to go any more than 10 or 20% further down than this point. So I'm viewing this as a good opportunity to get into stuff that I believe in. And I think in general, we're going to look. It's going to look a lot better into December and the next year.
Any thoughts, Simon?
Just, I totally agree, and it's quite a good time to have a look at, for me, my NFT portfolio and go, I wonder, I really have been thinking I want to get more into this one, maybe add another NFT and come out of this one, because you said it time and again, Jayden, it's totally right. We both said it. It's so difficult to let go of stuff you have.
Exactly.
But sometimes it's a good time to move into other things that you're believing in more. I keep saying I want to get a good vibes.
Me too, mate.
Yeah.
For example.
But the beauty of it is you can get some of the token and still be a part of the ecosystem. You can get some of their strategy.
Well, yeah, absolutely. One last thing is, don't forget, of course, under the radar, I don't know if it's going to come to a lot, but there is the MetaMask thing, the token, that's all bubbling away.
I mean, we could be going to Valhalla. This could happen all at once.
Do you mean I can actually get some food? Yes.
You're going to be on wartime food rations, mate. Between now and January, we'll be fine. Beans on toast, maybe a turkey on Christmas Day. You'll be all right.
Oh.
You got countless airdrops, regulatory clarity. In some instances, you got the rate cuts. There's a lot more as well that we haven't talked about. There's a lot of positive signals. So it's surprising. I think it was surprising to see over the last week or two how negative the timeline got so quickly as well. We had that big liquidation in October. Then things had started to pick back up a little bit, and then people were starting to bull post, and then it just shifted. It turned on its head. Prices obviously started going down. And that's the problem with the timeline and taking your mood from the timeline, is that they're reactionary. The prices go down, they're like, this is the end. Well, hello, even if Bitcoin goes from 130 to 80K, that doesn't mean it's the end for the asset. That doesn't mean it. Like people are deriving what the asset's worth from the price it's currently at. That is the wrong way to do things, in my opinion. The market is irrational at times. The market, people are selling off because it's the end of the year for tax reasons, and then they'll buy back in next year. We've seen that happen multiple years.
I think the psychology, though, is that people apply old frameworks. Bren said this the other night when he was doing his TA stuff. He said, if this was a stock and it dropped by 60%, you could safely assume that company is dead. But this is not how crypto works. In fact, some very good quality assets. Solana dropped by 97%.
Yes.
It went from $247 to $8. What the fuck are we talking about here, guys?
Yeah.
I know. This stuff is, in fact, this correction that we've had is tame. It's nothing compared to the FTX one. And even though it was on a 20x scale, it was larger than the FTX one. I don't think we didn't have anywhere near the fallout because there weren't banks going into administration. There wasn't a bank run or people queuing up at the bank to try and get their money out, thinking they weren't going to get it back and all this sort of stuff. So, yeah, I think you guys make some very good points.
I know. I'm going to say one last thing here. Do you remember we talked about in the good times, do some selling?
Yeah.
And the other thing is, I had this phrase I thought I could use as a little sort of thing that start as perhaps an idea, which is call it my cellmate, which is basically you buddy up with someone who challenges you to sell because you can't do it on your own. And it's I thought this concept, my cellmate, and I want to start something there where there's you can't be accountable to yourself. You're rubbish at selling because you love what you've got so much. So you're going to partner with someone who holds you accountable on what you said you were going to do and when you were going to do it. And I find that really could be quite ustle. You said, Simon, you were going to sell when you were at that level. Have you done it yet?
And you can do it with us with our V.
Yes.
Well.
We can be cellmates.
How about we do it with each other? In fact, we'll just be a bad influence on each other.
Do a live stream as cellmates.
Yeah. Guys, I'm gonna end things there until next week. But it's been thoroughly enjoyable. Simon Burge, thank you for joining. Folks, to the 220 of you listening, we'll catch you next week. Please give Simon and Burge and myself a follow on X if you want to follow what we're doing. Also, do me a massive, massive favor. There's some great value in Carrot Lane's newsletter. Make sure you subscribe. It's carrotlane.com or just go to my bio. It's free. It's free to register. Obviously, there's some paid features on there and some community stuff that you can get involved in. But until next week, folks, we'll catch you then. Cheers, guys.
Take care, everyone.
See you guys. Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Bye.